Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we have some football to talk about today. Sorry about the 30-minute delay. As you guys know, I've been moving into a new place, and I had a washer and dryer installed. They decided to show up right at 10. You can't pick these things. They just arrive when they want to arrive. So anyway, we've got some news to talk about. We've got some updates on the Joe Burrow Cav. We've got some updates on Alvin Kamara suspension. We've got some free agency updates. We've got some camp updates. So why don't we sit back, relax, sip our coffee, and enjoy the show. And it wouldn't be a Wake and Take without a something of the day. Today is not a clip. Today, it is a photo of the day. Today's picture of the day is none other than Carson Wentz. This was taken very, very recently. He is out there practicing in an Eagles helmet, a Commander's jersey, and Colts shorts. Why is he doing this? Well, of course, because he's still a free agent, still not on a single team. And those are, of course, the teams he's played for. I just think it's hilarious to look at. So we're going to do that. We're going to spend the next just 5 seconds really taking this in. Just really take in this picture. Wow. All right. What a picture. What a picture of Carson Wentz. Again, that was our picture of the day. And I want to start today's show off. If you guys tuned in Friday, I did a underdog best ball draft for the weekly winners because I was at the Falcons training camp, and I just wanted to give you guys a couple takeaways from that. You can check out the full thing on my Twitter at JFootballWine. It is pinned, and I got a lot of takeaways from that. It was a good time. It was an open practice, so I didn't get any media availability or anything like that. I was just sitting on a field. I wasn't allowed to take videos. There were people walking around making sure you weren't taking videos. I did get a very, very quick one of a route that was run by Bijan Robinson. Let me talk about that for a second. Just for a whole second, right? This Falcons offense will not run at all how you expect it to. I was very, very intrigued by some of the things I saw, some of the plays they were running. It's going to be interesting. So one of the biggest takeaways is that Cordarrelle Patterson 100% has a role in this offense. Why do I say that? Well, when you see Cordarrelle Patterson line up as a receiver, play in and play out, well, that probably means that Cordarrelle Patterson is going to be used as a receiver. There were plenty, and I mean plenty of plays where Cordarrelle Patterson was on the field at the same time as either Tyler Algier or Bijan Robinson. So I'm going to go ahead and basically lock that in. I think the rumors that Cordarrelle might end up being the Falcons slot receiver are basically true because when he did line up, he lined up in the slot spot. And it was basically always as a receiver. I only saw him in the backfield a couple times. Yes, he was still in the backfield. As you guys know, he is a pretty explosive runner, has some breakaway run capability, so he will be used in that capacity. But it seems like for the most part, he's going to be used in the slot like position, whether, it's as a slot receiver or just kind of being there as a floater, doing maybe some sweeps or whatever. But what was also really interesting about Cordarrelle Patterson being used so much as a receiver is, again, he wasn't ever really the only running back on the field. The only time I saw him alone was once, whereas I saw Tyler Algier alone a few times. I saw Bijan Robinson alone a few times. Cordarrelle Patterson was always used as a complementary piece and basically always as a receiver. So that means, yes, I saw Bijan Robinson and Cordarrelle Patterson on the field at the same time. And to another degree, I saw Cordarrelle Patterson and Bijan Robinson both lining up as receivers multiple times. There were many, many times that the Falcons didn't even have a running back in the backfield. I'm talking Bijan Robinson out wide, Cordarrelle Patterson out wide, sometimes lined up together, sometimes opposite sides of the field. But both of these running backs will be used as receivers. Both of those guys are going to get tons of pass catching work. Speaking of Tyler Algier, Tyler Algier did have some good opportunities. He worked with the second team most of the time, but when they did switch to 11v11, he was out there basically swapping with everyone. I mean, it was definitely a true rotation going on. Tyler Algier had 2 catches. Yes, he had 2 catches. One of those was a touchdown. One of them was a very fantastic yards after catch touchdown. He just ran a quick little out route, caught it, made a good little move, ran down the sideline and scored. So he's going to be used as a receiver out of the backfield too. However, the main thing to note is that when Tyler Algier was used as a receiver, he was used out of the backfield. Tyler Algier never lined up out wide like I saw with Bijan Robinson, like I saw with Cordero Patterson. In fact, I even saw a couple times where Bijan Robinson lined up outside of Drake London. And I thought that was very, very interesting to see Bijan so far out wide. I would say definitely the person I saw on the field the most in terms of running backs was Cordero, because of the fact that he was basically always out there, even if another running back was out there. So guys, Cordell Patterson's a value. He's going to be used. Tyler Algier is a value. He's going to be used. And I kid you not, guys, Bijan Robinson will be the number 1 running back in 2023. He looked fantastic. The route running, the catches, just the size, the way he's commanding himself. I'm very, very excited to see what he can bring. So that's a little bit about the running backs, a lot of it about the running backs. Just real quickly, the receivers, I really liked. I saw one point where Kyle Pitts and Desmond Ridder went out to a separate field and worked together, just them two by themselves. It was just a few minutes, but Kyle Pitts went out there and ran some routes with Desmond Ridder, just the two of them. And what I like about that is just seeing that they are trying to make that connection a focal point. They really do want to work on that and make sure it happens, because they didn't have any playing time last season. So again, I do view Kyle Pitts as a value right now. I do think he will outperform his ADP. And another receiver that I was very, very impressed with was Mac Hollins. He was the most targeted receiver of the day. Play in, play out, I feel like the ball was going to him. He had a very impressive contested catch over A.J. Terrell at one point. And I thought the way he looked, he had a cool little visor on. He had his shirt all cut up. He was wearing some Jordans. I do expect a big season from Mac Hollins. Maybe not a ton of volume, but he's also going to be used. So really, the trend of this is that there's a ton of value in this Falcons offense. I think every single person is going to be used in some degree. And yes, to answer your question, Desmond Ridder did look pretty decent. I think that this isn't even a competition, to be completely honest. And that's not to say that Taylor Heinicke looked bad. Taylor Heinicke looked good. I mean, he looked fine. I mean, we all know what Taylor Heinicke is. He's a baller. He's going to get stuff done. But Desmond Ridder didn't look bad at all. And I just think that they at least want to give him the chance to where it's really his job to lose. And I don't see Desmond Ridder doing anything to lose the job. He looked really, really decent. He had a great touchdown throw to Kyle Pitts in the back of the end zone. It was really good. He had some scrambling opportunities as well. He rolled out in the pocket, juked away from the edge rusher and cut inside and had a really, really nice scramble. I mean, it doesn't seem like a competition to me. I think he's going to be fine. And then so that means, guys, that yes, I'm not really talking about Drake London. I mean, granted, this was only one practice I went to, but I think I only saw one catch from him, and it was like just a 5-yard catch. It was pretty much always going to someone else. He looked fine. I mean, he had one good catch in the warmups. He had like a nice little jump up grab and he fell when he caught it because he jumped so high. But it was against no one and no coverage. So, I mean, it was an impressive catch, but I don't know. I'm not too impressed by what I saw with Drake London. He didn't do anything bad by any means, but he also didn't wow me in any regard. So I do think that he's probably the odd man out if you're trying to choose between which Falcons player to take a chance on between Bijan, Pitts, and London. I would definitely take a chance on Pitts or Bijan before I took a chance on Drake London. So those are all my takeaways. Let me see if there are any questions about the camp. Yeah, someone said they went to the Eagles camp and got tons of video. Wow. Yeah, I don't know if the Eagles allowed it or what, but they were definitely being pretty stingy at Falcons. But I saw a setting on my camera to where it'll actually like record when you're taking a picture. I didn't do it this time, but I plan to go to another Falcons practice at the end of the month. And so it'll actually, when you take pictures after like I send everything, it'll send me like a video file of like everything that happened before the picture was even taken. And I think that'll be a sneaky way to get around the video recording thing. So hopefully stay tuned for better coverage on the Falcons, but at least I think gave you guys some good takeaways. Go find yourself some value in the Falcons offense. Now time for the actual news. And starting this weekend off Friday afternoon, Alvin Kamara was given his 3-game suspension. And it was just 3 games. It's fine, and I think people were expecting a little bit more. I think his ADP is going to go up a little bit. Those of you that did draft him, congratulations. Those of you that maybe took Jamal Williams or Kendre Miller, I also think it'll be fine, especially from the Kendre Miller standpoint, and really the Jamal Williams standpoint. I do think Jamal Williams is overvalued and always has been, but still he probably will get those touchdown works. It's just he's not going to get as many touchdowns as he did last season, plain and simple. But Alvin Kamara did come out and say, I never want to be involved in something where someone gets hurt or severely injured or anything. This was poor judgment on my end, definitely a bad decision. I was completely wrong. I embarrassed the Saints. I embarrassed my family. I embarrassed my mother. I embarrassed myself. I embarrassed the city, the Shield, and the NFL. And this is true. I mean, he did. And so I'm just glad that he kind of recognizes this. I'm glad that he had that meeting with Roger Goodell to talk it out. And it seems that, that discussion did lead to a lesser suspension for him. The Saints, however, without Alvin Kamara, have played 10 games without him in his career, and they're only 3-7 without him. So they might go off to a rough start. But Alvin Kamara has basically always missed at least one game. He's missed 2 games or more every single year going back to 2019. In 2018, he missed 1 game. In 2017, his rookie year, that was the only time he didn't miss games. So assuming that he plays the rest of the games outside of the suspension, you're getting a pretty standard Alvin Kamara year. And yes, the efficiency went down a little bit last year, but still, we're talking about all the opportunity that this guy is going to get. His snap share was number 1 in the NFL among running backs at 80%. He had the 4th best opportunity share at 78%. The 7th most weighted opportunities with 254.7. He had the 7th most expected fantasy points per game. He had the 7th most receptions, the 5th most receiving yards. He was the 2nd most participant in routes among running backs as well, always out there catching passes, the 3rd highest target share. The guy is going to get a ton of work. He hasn't averaged less than 14 points per game his entire career. We all know he's going to be good, right? Over 400 receiving yards every single year. Last year was his worst year with only 900 rush yards and 500 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. So if he can get a couple more touchdowns, given that the Saints offense is going to do a little bit better, of course, anyone that drafted him is very, very excited that it was a minimal suspension. And when he gets back, he should be totally fine. And I would probably even be buying him if I'm a contender in dynasty leagues, if I had to answer that question. Noobs World Order asks, is Kendre Miller a good pickup as a handcuff to Kamara? Definitely, yeah. If he is available, definitely. I mean, I think he will be the main guy while Alvin Kamara is suspended. I think they're just going to throw him to the wolves, see what he can do, because I just don't see Jamal Williams as the, a bell cow running back. I see him as a short yardage guy. Kendre Miller, a little shiftier. Looking healthy as well. I think that Kendre Miller is going to get a ton of work while Kamara is suspended, and probably also still get some work when Kamara is back. So yeah, I would definitely be picking up Kendre Miller if he's available. Next up, guys, Joe Burrow. He had that calf injury, and there's a little bit of discussion from Jamar Chase about it. And I thought that it would be fun to talk about with Joe Burrow. The average timetable for this kind of injury should put him on track to return week 1, but he might not be 100%. So Jamar Chase came out and said, in all honesty, I don't want him there. This is the same thing with me last year. I sat out an extra game just to let my hip get all the way healed up, and you don't want to cause no other problems later on in the season. I told him, as long as you're there after week 5 and on, we're good. And it's a tough, though, first few weeks. If Jamar Chase's timetable is 4 games, I don't really think that'll be the case. I do think Joe Burrow will be out there sooner rather than later. I don't know about week 1. I think that I will say that Joe Burrow should be out there week 1. The reason is that their first 2 weeks of the season are against AFC North opponents. They are divisional games, and those are just important if you want to make the playoffs. And I just don't think they want to start off the season basically 0-2 against the Browns week 1, and then they play the Ravens week 2. I just think they want Joe Shiesty out there because they need to win those games. I know it's the first divisional game, and the second one means the most, but still, to me, because they're divisional games, I really do see him being rushed out. I think they're going to rush this healing process, hopefully completely sit him out of the rest of training camp and preseason and let him be. But do keep in mind that it's possible he misses a game or 2. If he does do that, go ahead and buy Joe Burrow. You could probably try to buy him right now. I was able to acquire him in one league just because, it's a little bit questionable about what's going on. And hopefully in redraft, he takes a little bit of a hit for some drafters right now. Go ahead and get a value on him. But I think he'll be fine. And I think because they're playing divisional opponents, he will be out there, just maybe not 100%. And maybe that means they'll run on Joe Mixon a little bit more or something. I don't know. We'll talk about that as we get closer, but just wanted to keep you guys updated. Let's see. And I do see here, we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Let's go ahead and talk about this running back free agency market. Just a quick update on Dalvin Cook. First off is that there really isn't an update or anything. The Jets are still in on him. And that's really it. The Jets are also in on Ezekiel Elliott, which we'll talk about in a second. But I found one quote on NFL.com that I wanted to talk about. Dalvin Cook went on Good Morning Football and said that the odds were pretty high that he would sign with the Jets. And then I think it was Rappaport. Yeah, Rappaport came out and talked about the same thing, that there's been a lot of mutual interest between the two parties. It would make a lot of sense. It just seems like both sides are waiting before they move a little bit closer towards a signing. It would not be a surprise if it ended up happening. So it still seems that the Jets are the betting favorite for Dalvin Cook to sign there. I have also heard rumors that the Dolphins are, seeing this Jet stuff and getting a little bit more worried. They do still want to bring him in. So I've heard that they are looking into upping their offer as well. So we will continue to update you on that story. The next running back that I want to talk about is Ezekiel Elliott. The Patriots, of course, are hugely in on Ezekiel Elliott. It says that The Athletic says that the Patriots remain highly interested in Ezekiel Elliott, but that also now the Cowboys are in the mix still to re-sign Ezekiel Elliott on a discount. And as we know, those are basically the two teams and scenarios we've always been talking about, really. It was always he's probably going to re-sign with the Cowboys. And then it was like, well, actually, the Patriots make a little bit of sense, too, if they're hosting everyone. Ezekiel Elliott would fit that team really, really well. So again, keep you guys updated on everything, but it's looking like Cowboys or Patriots for Ezekiel Elliott. And for Dalvin Cook, it is looking like the Jets or the Dolphins. It's narrowed down to two teams. Now, speaking of the Patriots with Ezekiel Elliott, I want to talk a little bit about Mac Jones, because reports out of camp are that he's, elevated his game a little bit. First off, Bill O'Brien, of course, coming to town. His kind of mantra this offseason has just been get better every day, even if it's just a small amount. So they're really, really trying to get this offense to progress, take little step forwards every single day. And I do think that that will help the offense in the long run, especially in the long term, instead of trying to, quickly fix everything that went wrong last season and rewrite everything in like 1 week, slowly add on new things and work on everything. And then regarding Mac Jones, Ramondre Stevenson came out on Friday and was asked about Mac Jones and his maturity. And the first thing that Ramondre Stevenson said was that Mac Jones has matured. Basically said that Jones has noticeable confidence and ease, and even said that Mac Jones is increasingly acting like the longtime New England Patriots who showed them how Patriots leaders should act. So the Patriots way has officially embedded himself into Mac Jones, evidenced, of course, by him letting Gesicki live at his house for a little bit when he officially got signed while he was looking for a place of his own. And Gesicki even came out and said that he has the energy, the football IQ, sees things happening before they happen, gets people in position right when he breaks the huddle. There's no lost time out there, and that Mac Jones is doing a great job. So I do believe and have believed all offseason that Mac Jones is a great value right now in fantasy football redraft formats, especially superflex leagues. If this offense does take a step forward, which it's easy to do so, the offense was so bad last year, then Mac Jones, of course, will be the biggest benefactor. Bailey's happy season seems to have fallen off a large amount. He's still only working with the second team. Mac Jones isn't doing anything to lose the job. The club is behind him at this point. So it's looking like he will be the starter. It's looking like the offense is going to take a step forward. And that means you've got to take a chance on Mac Jones. And there's been some free agency signings. First off, N'Keal Harry has signed with the Vikings. He's Jalen Reagor 2.0. They'll see what they can do with him. He's at least a good run blocker. Nothing to really talk about. I mean, he's been a complete failure. I doubt that he's revived, but he'll be there. He's a body on the team. Kenyan Drake signed with the Colts, however, and this is a little bit more interesting as, of course, there is the issues with Jonathan Taylor. We don't know what's going on. I mean, we all assume that he'll inevitably be back, but signing a good running back in Kenyan Drake is a little bit concerning about the long-term plans. And, of course, if you had been holding on to Evan Hull, if you had been holding on to Deion Jackson with the news of the Zach Moss broken arm, oh, well, you should have sold him. You definitely should have sold him. Now you're kind of stuck here. Kenyan Drake is definitely a better running back than those two guys, and he will, if Jonathan Taylor comes back, be a premier handcuff. As we know, he's been really good given the opportunities. Last season, he had 200-yard games, 127 yards and a touchdown against the Giants, 109 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Saints. He had 2 other 15-plus point games, around 70 yards and a touchdown and some receptions. And last season, he was 10th in breakaway run rate and had a pretty respectable 4.4 yards per carry. So he's a good running back. And we also know that in Arizona, when he had a little bit more featured role, he had almost 1,000 yards. He had 955 rush yards. And in 2017, he had that infamous 193-yard game. So again, good running back. If you've picked him up, good. I mean, he's a really good running back to roster at the end of your bench right now. And I would be taking a chance on him, throwing some offseason fab his way and just seeing what happens if Jonathan Taylor is gone, which I don't think he is or will be. Then, I mean, geez, you've gotten yourself a really good fantasy football asset. But again, I don't think Jonathan Taylor is gone. I think this is just more so really round out that backfield. Maybe they weren't as impressed with Evan Hull as they thought they'd be or something. But he's been brought in, and it is what it is. Now, some updates on the Commanders just real quick. The rest of the show is just real quick. If you guys want to start asking some questions, we'll get to those in a second. But Eric Bieniemy has been bringing the winning mentality to Washington. Their two-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jonathan Allen talked about it and just said, it's exciting. One thing about Coach Bieniemy is he knows how to win. He's been with the Chiefs for 10 years, been around all sorts of greatness, and he knows what winning looks like, and he has been bringing it here. So, guys, I don't know what quarterback is going to be out there. Of course, it'll be Sam Howell at first, but even if Jacoby Brissett ends up being the quarterback, both of those guys will likely be values. Jahan Dotson likely a value. Terry McLaurin likely a value. Both the running backs, of course, likely a value if this offense can get cooking. And I think we all do believe that it can get cooking. I do think that it will look good. And, taking a chance on the Commanders where I can. Of course, they're in a pretty shootout division, so I think that there's going to be some points for everyone to be able to get. So I like that what Bieniemy is bringing, and I think that there's some value to be found there. And finally, guys, Anthony Richardson has been impressing in camp. Just real quick, yesterday I saw a tweet, and this is from George Bremer. I assume he went to the Colts camp. Highly efficient day for Anthony Richardson in 11-on-11. He finished 6 of 8 with 3 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown, all with the first teams and against the first team. So that's pretty fantastic. 8 passes, only 2 incompletions, 3 of them touchdowns, and even had a rushing touchdown. Guys, I'm telling you, he's bust-proof. Anthony Richardson is the truth. He's got a great coaching staff behind him. He's got great weapons around him, and he has the mentality as well. There's been plenty and plenty of reports that he just hasn't even gotten his face out of the playbook, always working, always grinding, always studying. Go spend whatever it takes to get Anthony Richardson, whatever it takes. So, guys, do we have any questions? Let's see. Doesn't look like it. MLAD says that Falcons take was worth listening to the past 5 months. Thank you for listening that much. Thank you. Thank you for staying here, and everyone that's been listening. I appreciate you guys a ton. This is great spending my morning with you guys. Does not look like we have any questions. It doesn't seem. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. No, I do see some Kareem Hunt stuff. I did see he was visiting the Saints today, just real quickly. I did see that before the show started, but didn't have really any time to prepare my notes on it. But just a little bit of a caveat about it. I mean, it makes sense. Benjamin did just tear his Achilles, so they need a little extra help. But I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I really think that they would be fine with Jamal Williams, with Kendra Miller, with Alvin Kamara. I think Kareem Hunt would be a bit too much for that backfield. But teams don't really care about that. They want to make sure there's some health. And perhaps they're just working him out in case something does happen and he needs, they do need some running back help later in the season if an injury happens. But, yeah, he has been meeting with the Saints. When do you prefer to draft? World Order asks. Earlier in the offseason or closer to the beginning of the season? I used to be a closer to the beginning of the season guy, but now that I'm just so tuned in, making sure I'm taking in as much information as I can, I do prefer early drafting. There's just so much value to be found. The amount of Brock Purdy I own is just insane. I was taking so many shots on him. I'm sure there's other examples too of people that I've been drafting that their ADP has been rising as I expected it would. I just think you can get a lot more complete teams early in the season just because there's less information out there and you do truly have an advantage when you are taking in as much information as someone as myself is. Thoughts on where Fournette will sign? Still no clue. I do still think that he is the out of the Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott, maybe even Dalvin, probably not Dalvin Cook, not going to throw him in there. I'll say out of Zeke, Kareem Hunt, Fournette is the one I would rather roster. I do think wherever he goes, it will be a more fantasy relevant landing spot and he will get a decent amount of passing work. The team I hope he signs with is the Chargers. That's what I've been kind of wish casting out there. I think he would fit there really well. And if something ever happened to Austin Eckler, he would be a pretty decent replacement too. But even if he wasn't, hurt, that it would just be good for the offense to not give him as much work as they have been. So that's where I hope. I don't know where, though. I just think that wherever he does go will be a pretty decent spot. I think the Vikings are possible as well, just to kind of be a cheaper Dalvin Cook. And yeah, I think it'll be nice. I think it will be nice. I am in on Leonard Fournette. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in 30 minutes later than we normally go. The rest of the week will, of course, be back on normal schedule. And tomorrow I'm having a very special guest, so make sure you tune in tomorrow on the Player Profiler YouTube channel at 10 a.m. You guys, the fantastic audience, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope to see you all tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. I hope to see you all the rest of the week. And I hope you guys have a fantastic, and I mean fantastic Monday, fantastic rest of your week. Have a good one. Peace.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.